Today I have 5 Christmas DIYs under 5, so come on in. Well, hello my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and if you are new, welcome to you as well. This is Christine, your DIY craftaholic, so let's get crafting. For DIY number 1, I'm using this sign that I got from Dollar Tree from their fall section, and here I'm just removing the tag as well as that little bow. And I'm removing the paper. And once I got a good portion of that off, I sprayed some water on it, placed a piece of napkin over it, and sat it aside to soak. Now it's all soaked. I took this little scraper tool from Dollar Tree, and guys, you see how easy the paper is coming off once it has been soaked. Now the side that I wanted to use, or where I removed the paper from, was too sticky. I decided to use the flip side. So I'll be using this calendar sheet from Dollar Tree, but I'll paint the board first using the Oops paint. And what I'm showing you that the paint was the same color as the calendar page. And guys, all this painting was not necessarily needed because you'll see in the end what I had to do. I told you that this was the side that I decided to use, right? But I never needed to give it all of that paint, but it turned out that I needed to paint it in the end. So now that both sides are painted and dried, it dawned on me that the side that I needed was the side that I removed the paper from, because the calendar sheet will cover all of that. But here I am cutting out the mason jar, and I never needed to cut it out. So I figured that out quite quickly before I went further, and I'm just gonna glue this back on here and connect the piece that I cut off so that it doesn't even appear as if it was removed. Then I took the school glue and I'm applying that to the back of the calendar sheet, lining that up in the center. And once I put that piece down, I'm now going to reconnect the other piece that I took off. I was so distracted I didn't even realize what I was doing until when I was halfway through cutting it off. I'm using the brayer to just remove any ear bubbles that may trap underneath, and then glue down the other side. Apply some school glue to the top and glue that down as well. I also had to glue in back that little piece right there. Try not to get distracted on your project, guys. So after salvaging that, I took the sanding block and I sanded off the excess, being very careful not to interfere with the part that I just glued. And see, you can't even see where the mark was. That was a great save, Christine. So now we're done with that. I'm moving on to the next step. I wanted to bring some contrast to this little sign. This ribbon I had in my stash, I think I got this from the Dollar Tree, and I decided to cut a piece and glue that at the top. And you see where I said earlier that I never needed to do all of this. I just never thought it through. I was crafting as I go. So once I glued that down, I flipped it over and I'm now gluing down the edges. And as always, I'll say make sure you're wearing your finger protector or using one of those little silicone spatula, because hot glue is hot. Trim down the corners. I am replacing the same ribbon that I took off earlier, so I opened it and I'm using the heat gun to just heat up the glue so I can scrape that off and straighten out the ribbon. And then I've tied it back. And this ribbon is perfect because it ties in the burlap at the top, ties in the color of the calendar sheet. It's just perfect for here. This berry pick is also from Dollar Tree and it ties in perfectly with the berry in the jar. This I got from my 99-cent store 2 years ago, believe it or not. So I cut off a piece of the holly leaves and I've decided that this looked better on it, so I'm gonna use that. Here I just trimmed that down, glued it on, and added a little extra hot glue to keep the leaves down. And then glued on the bow, dovetail the ends. So it still needed something else, so I added a few more berries, a little star in the middle, tack down the end of the tails of the bow. Made a little loop for hanging, and this is how I did it. I fed it from the back to the front, snipped off the excess, fed it through the loop, and then glued it down at the back. And we're done. And you will see more of this in the final reveal. Now this is the 5 under 5 open challenge, which is hosted by Missy from Crafty Cove DIY, Emily from Farm Charm Chic, and our guest host this month is Ellie from DIY from House to Home. Now these ladies are fantastic. I must tell you, you have to check their channels out. I will leave the links to their channels in the description box below, as well as a link for the playlist. And I will also link the playlist under the video for easy access. Make sure to go down and check them out after you get done watching my video. Now we're moving on to DIY number 2. This sign is from the Birch and Vine section from Dollar Tree. And though I'm thankful, I'm going to be reusing this sign. So I'm just taking off the tag, removing the string of beads. I'm gonna set that aside because I will be reusing that. Before I took the paper off, I carefully removed the word thankful. Of course, I'm going to be saving that to use on another project. And I'm just trying to be very careful not to break it because this wood is very, very thin. Just like I did for the first one, I'm going to soak this off. So I'm just spraying it with some water. I'm going to put a piece of paper towel over that and set it aside to soak. And now it's soaked, I remove the paper, but of course, like the first one, the glue on that side was very sticky. But here I'm using some Goo Gone on a baby wipe to just remove that. Now that is done, I gave it 2 coats of Waverly plaster. And now it's done. Here I go again with my calendar because we're gonna work with a theme today. It's calendar pages. And I'm only going to use the wreath part. I wish I could have used the words, but the space on this doesn't allow that. So I am fussy cutting this one out as close as possible. I'm gonna do that off camera. And now that it's done, I'm using my school glue again to glue this down. And here I'm just kind of turning it to make sure that I had 2 leaves that was pointing evenly in the same direction, so I can even it with that center. And then just using my finger to press it down or to smooth it out. I also use some tacky glue to further secure it because the school glue alone was not effective. And then I applied some Mod Podge over the outer surface to seal it. And then after I dried the Mod Podge with a little heat and then further dried it with the parchment paper on top and the heat again, and then went over the rest of the board with the Mod Podge. And now we're ready for some embellishment. I made a bow from this ribbon that I got from BB Craft. I just cut a piece that I thought would be long enough to make a bow. Glue the 2 ends together and then use that as measurement for the tails. I just cut 1 piece with even sides and then fold that in 2, dovetail the ends. I will not be having the tails of this bow hanging, rather I'm going to have them go across because I didn't want to cover up the wreath. So I just placed the bow on top of the ribbon, used a piece of jute cord and tied that in the middle. So I added 2 more beads to the string of beads, then took the lighter and just burned off the fuzzies. Fed the string back through the holes, knotted the ends at the back and glued them down. And now I can glue on the bow. Now you can paint your beads or you can leave them natural. I decided to just leave mine natural. But before I glued it on, I took a piece of this burlap trim to cover the middle, glued that around it, and now I can glue my bow down. It still looked a little bland. I got this ribbon from the Dollar Tree with a little red truck on it. I decided to add one to the center of the wreath. So I cut a piece off and trimmed it down as close as possible. Now you have to be careful because this will fray. So I made sure I wasn't going too close to the truck. And then I used some tacky glue to secure that in the middle. And applied some Mod Podge over it. I was trying to see whether or not making another bow from this red truck ribbon would look good on the top, but it didn't, so I abandoned that idea. So to distress this a little bit and make it pop, I took some Waverly antique wax on a sponge, diluted that, and just distressed the edges. Dab, 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 swipe, dab, 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 swipe. Not too much, not too heavy, just lightly. And then I found this little lace bow from another project. I thought that would look cool at the top. I just added that and then cut 3 berries from the strip you saw earlier and glue that in the middle, and our little sign is done. Super cute! More in the final reveal. For our next DIY, we'll be painting this little truck from the Dollar Tree. So I removed the tag. And these are the colors that I'll be using: Waverly Moss, New Shamrock, and Candy Apple. I'll also be using Apple Barrel Black and Nutmeg Brown. If you are new to my channel or coming over from the playlist, welcome. I'm so happy you joined me today. Here on my channel, I do DIYs on a budget, dupes, look for less, and some occasional Dollar Tree shopping hauls and thrift flips. If you love budget-friendly DIYs like these and you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and be sure to hit that notification bell. Hit it again and select all so YouTube notifies you whenever I upload new videos. Oh yes, I did use some elephant grey to paint the wheels and to distress the top of the arch panel, and the shamrock green to paint the Christmas tree again. And I did use some gold paint to paint in the stars and the ornaments on the tree. And for this part, there's not much to say about what I'm doing, but please don't skip over the video. Just watch and enjoy. And if you would like to follow me on social media, here are where you can find me. There are links in my description box below. You can check that out. Yay! If you stuck around to this part of the video, you are awesome. Thank you so much for sticking around. Now we're ready to embellish our little truck. So I picked that thumbnail from the calendar and I'm trimming it down just so it can fit on the door panel. And before I glued it on, I decided to Mod Podge the entire truck before doing that, making sure I didn't add any Mod Podge to that area. I then glued this on using some tacky glue and a little hot glue right around the 4 corners. Glued that on. And my little truck is saying Farm Fresh Christmas Trees. Now to embellish a little more, I cut a piece from this garland and I'm trimming it down to make a little wreath for my truck. Once I trimmed it down properly, I attached the 2 ends with some hot glue and glued that on the rails. Added some berries. While I was working on it, I forgot that I wasn't going to replace the string and should have covered those holes, but I'll go back and do that afterwards because I want this freestanding. And my little truck is complete. More in the final reveal. Now we're moving on to DIY number 4. And this one is going to be very easy. This is a canvas that I had purchased from the thrift store. I already used it and now I'm going to be reusing it. So I painted the complete canvas with some of the oops paint, and now I'm drying that. And we're following up with our calendar theme here. So this is a calendar sheet to the thumbnail that I just used. I'm cutting off the word trees. I'm also going to remove the top that says farm fresh because that can't hold as well. And now that we have those removed, I place that on the center and I'm just lining that up to make sure that it's evenly placed. And I'm going to glue that down with some Mod Podge, so I'm doing it in sections. And then to remove any ear bubble, I use the brayer to smooth that out. If you're still here, I hope you are being inspired by not only my DIYs today, but those that will be on the other videos on this playlist. This is one of my favorite playlists to be a part of because it comes with so many inspiration for using budget-friendly items for under $5. And it doesn't have to be items from the dollar store. It can be items from your local thrift store or things that you already have in your home. You can repurpose that just using the inspiration from these videos to create beautiful home decor. So make sure, guys, to check out the playlist when you get done watching my videos. So now that we are done with that part, let's move on to further embellishment. Now these are things that already came from Dollar Tree decor pieces and I had them in my stash. I was trying to decide whether or not I needed to add the red bow or the gingham with the greenery, and I settled on the gingham with the greenery because buffalo check looks good on almost everything. So I glued that on to the top left corner. And this is done, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and that is under $1.25. Now for our final DIY, this one is another easy one, guys. This jar is from the Dollar Tree and it's $1.25. And what I did, I just removed the tag and cut out a piece of foam board. I just traced out the top of the lid onto a piece of foam board and cut that out, and then cut it down a little bit more so it can fit on the inside. And we're going to be making a globe. So I found these little knickknacks, this little Christmas tree, some faux gifts from Dollar Tree. This bag of bells I purchased at my 99-cent store. Had that in my stash, and I'm just trying to find sizes that can fit on this little foam. And then once I realized that they could fit, I then glued them on. But before I did that, I had to replace my glue stick. So I glued them on and then glued them inside the lid, or glued the piece of foam inside the lid. I'm tired. So once everything was glued on, I'm now going to glue that on the inside of the lid if my glue stick and glue gun would cooperate. And this is faux snow, also from my 99-cent store. Snore. I'm adding some to the jar and then screw on the lid, flipped it upside down and just shook it around until it was where I needed it. The snow was a little too much, so I pulled it off, and the bell was too small. Pulled it off and added a bigger one and glued again, because if you notice, the inside from the jar came off. So I'm now gluing that part down, and here we go a second time. And I was just using whatever I had around the house. I wasn't going out to buy anything. So all this cost me was the jar. And we'll see more of that in the final reveal. And here we go with our final reveal. Guys, let me know which one of these 5 under 5 DIYs was your favorite today. I think the mason jar wall decor piece is mine, but that's just me. And the truck. I must say the truck is also a favorite of mine. But guys, don't forget the host channels as well as the playlist down below. And I do want to thank you all for watching my videos and supporting my channel. I really appreciate and love you all. Your support truly means a lot to us. As you craft for your home Christmas DIYs this season, remember the reason for the season, and that's Jesus Christ, who loves you with an everlasting love. And here I added some further embellishment to my jar, a little red ribbon around the lid and some berries and greeneries. And this is what it looked like before I added those. But if you love budget-friendly content like this, guys, and you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and do so before you leave. And to keep watching, I suggest this video right here or this playlist. And stay safe, my friends, until my next one. Bye!